The US debt is like pretty massive. The fact that they're going to use Bitcoin and they see Bitcoin as like a solid asset that is going to gain value over time to pay off some of that debt and basically put them in a stronger financial position is a pretty major statement.
So the original Doge owner has gone out and purchased a new pet and named the little pup Nero. From a meme coin narrative perspective, it's going to go, right? And did not disappoint. But we did also see some of the dangers around playing around with meme coins on chain. I think there was like at least 10 to 20 impersonating contracts competing to be the official Nero.
Hello guys, welcome back to another episode of Tapping into Crypto. My name's Ted and I'm joined by Mr. Pav Hundal. Pav,
how are we doing, guys?
You looking well?
Speaking like there's more than one person in the room.
Well, there is, because we got our producer Daniel here.
Actually, we do. Hey, Dan.
Look, I want to apologise before we get into things. I've got a bit of a croaky voice and a little bit under the weather today, as a lot of people are, as the winter months tend to do. So
it's a bit froggy.
Apologies in advance. But Pav, you're feeling and looking well.
Thank
I heard you had a big weekend at a wedding.
I did. Wedding, always a good time, never a bad time. And that's all we'll say about it.
You get on the dance floor?
Absolutely.
Mate, nothing brings a smile to my face more than Pav Hundal hitting the dance floor.
Mate, you've seen the end of financial year party, the Christmas party?
Oh, mate, I've seen you dance, and it's fantastic.
Especially in a bull market, oh my God.
Yeah, absolutely. But we've got an action-packed episode for you guys today. Obviously, we're going to unpack everything that happened at the Bitcoin conference. Obviously, Trump was the keynote speaker there. Try not to get too much into the politics, but just really unpack what is the impact on the crypto market.
A couple of key insights.
Yeah, looking at ETH inflows or outflows, I think they are, and then also breaking down sort of the Solana ecosystem and looking at some of the top movers there. So a lot to get stuck into. So, Pav, we had the likely future president of the United States talking about how he's going to be, trying to make the US the crypto capital of the world. We saw a little bit of positive movement, but now we've come down. What's happened there?
Yeah, cool. Yeah, we can unpack that. So if we look at the just general market technical structure, those people listening can come check us out on YouTube. We do a nice little dissection of the charts, which may or may not find helpful, but come check it out either way. We have obviously done quite a bit of movement in the last couple of weeks. We're coming up really close to hugging and kissing the 70K level, and then we saw a massive drop. So people might be wondering, well, what was that all about? Dissecting that a little bit further seems to just be people getting a little bit too bullish. So looking at open interest, which basically describes the amount of interest in derivatives contracts trading on Bitcoin. We had a massive run up as Bitcoin got closer and closer to 70K. And then, boom, we saw $2 billion get wiped off just early this morning when we were recording on Tuesday with this little retracement we've seen from about 69 to 66K. So obviously nothing, it's not small, it's still a 5% dip. And we did see altcoins also take a little bit of a nasty hit as well. But the important thing for me is that we still have a pretty intact trend, at least the way that I look at things, higher highs, higher lows. For me, I think getting back above 67 to 68K is a pretty important event, and we might potentially go sideways until we can crack above that. But failure to do so, or if we have a go at getting through this level and we fail and turn around again, well, then that sort of sets up for me that we might go and even see as low as $63,000 from between here and in the next few weeks, which again isn't the end of the world. But we have conceivably gone up now for 26 days in a row almost. So yeah, we'll just have to wait and see how the next few days goes. But what might give us some sort of indication of what we could expect, we do have some pretty key macro events coming out this week. We have jobs data, we have funding rates, the interest rates that is in the US, and then we have also just general growth in manufacturing data as well. So between now and Friday, I think volatility is a flavor for the rest of this week. I think as much as you're going to expect Bitcoin to start to settle, I think just the greater powers at play, they might be just causing a bit of erratic behavior throughout the markets this week. So I think just be a bit careful, especially if you're trading this week.
Yeah, so we're sitting at, we ticked over the 70K US mark last night very briefly, and then we've come down to about 66. So obviously we weren't able to hold that above that key milestone. Do you see that as sort of like we need to break through that cleanly before we, take out the next high?
I'm very much like my technical analysis is more around like market structure. So again, like higher highs and higher lows. I have more importance right now on 67 to 68K, because if we can reclaim that, then 70 might be the most likely next place we go anyway. But I think we really got to get through this sort of cluster here, the same way we had in the past to start to move this most recent trend higher. Yep. So I also want to see just these previous lows hold, which I spoke about as well. It's also the middle of this big multi-month range as well, so 65K. I think if we can come down to 65 and then start to rebound higher, I think that would be what would look quite healthy in terms of what a trend usually looks like at this point. But time will tell.
Beautiful.
I think the other big thing to call out at the moment is the Ethereum ETF flows. So a lot of people might be wondering how they're going. Mixed bag results, really. We're seeing very steep selling on the Grayscale product, which we actually called out on the potty a few weeks ago, that we would be expecting the same thing we saw with the Bitcoin ETF. So that's basically a prior trust that was converted into an ETF, but because the fees are not so great, a lot of people are just selling out of that theoretically to go move into one of the cheaper vehicles, which we're seeing nothing but black, which is all inflows for the rest of the ETF products. But
overall it is outflows though.
In the all the days except for the very first day. That's right. But this is a little graphic that shows, well, what's the speed? Like we talk about, Ethereum, that one trust is absolutely emptying. It's running ahead of schedule almost at double the pace. So we're seeing the Band-Aid basically being ripped off, it looks like, on the Ethereum ETFs. And similar to what we saw with the Bitcoin ETF, at a certain stage, it does sort of peter out. And yes, it does decline, but not as rapidly. So we might see Ethereum just get to that sort of steady state a bit faster. Yep. I mean, if we compare that to the Bitcoin ETFs, we've just been seeing constant buying, except for the last couple of days, it seems to slow down. But again, I think this will be a big sentiment piece as well with the whole market rebounding. Do we see just constant demand coming in? Like you said, future president-elect's talking about national federal reserves running off a Bitcoin standard. Yep. It's all pretty cool stuff, and I'm only just waiting to see what other countries start to come out with the same sort of promises, to be honest. And we could see all of this sort of kick off again, sentiment-wise, in the coming months.
I think it's only a matter of time before we see the ETH inflows start to come in pretty hot. But look, let's unpack the Bitcoin conference that happened in Nashville over the weekend.
I didn't catch a lot of this, so I'm actually keen to hear what you have to say.
I think the big theme of it was like politics, right?
Yep.
Because not only was Trump there, RFK, Robert Kennedy Jr., I think his name is. He was there as well. There was also other, senators there. I think there were in total 7 politicians there who were going to
be a record.
So obviously that's the theme of sort of this year. But look, I want to unpack Trump's speech because it went for about 45 minutes. Trump likes to talk, but I wanted to highlight some of the key points that he stated. So his biggest statement from it that I took was he said the US will be the crypto capital of the planet and the Bitcoin superpower of the world. Now, this is coming from a guy who says, this is not verbatim, but a couple of years ago when he was actually president, saying like it has no value, it's made out of thin air, and now he's saying he wants to make it a big part of his presidential campaign. The US is going to basically build like a reserve of it, like a strategic reserve, like stockpiling Bitcoin in order to pay off national debt, which is huge, right? Because you always talk about the US debt is like pretty massive, and it's something that they use to their advantage as well. But like the fact that they're going to use Bitcoin and they see Bitcoin as like a solid asset that is going to gain value over time to pay off some of that debt and basically put them in a stronger financial position is a pretty major statement. What else has he said? He said, I will fire Gensler on day one.
Yeah, I think that got a massive cheer. I saw.
Yeah, it would get a massive cheer. Unfortunately, the case is he doesn't have authority to do that because I think the president doesn't have the authority to remove head of regulatory bodies, something like that. So Gensler lives on, but we talked recently about how it's speculated that Gensler's just going to leave at the start of the year, despite his sort of term ending in mid-2026 or 2025. Don't quote me on that. And then he also referred to crypto similar to the steel industry 100 years ago. So you're just in the infancy. One day it will probably overtake gold. So some major statements there from former President Trump. Kamala Harris was sort of touted to speak as well because she's basically come out and says she wants to take a more positive approach to crypto than Joe Biden did. And so she's met with the likes of Coinbase and I think Ripple and some of the other ones that have been involved in sort of the regulatory side over in the US, but she didn't end up speaking. There were some other major highlights as well. So like I said, RFK, so he's, I think, the nephew of JFK.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so he's like an independent politician, but he's a pretty key figurehead over in the US. He is promising to pass legislation that would require the US to buy 550 Bitcoin every single day in order to reach their goal of owning 4 million Bitcoin, which is just over a fifth of the total Bitcoin supply. So that is pretty major. Well, the fact that he's saying the US will be committed to buying consistent Bitcoin every day, like we talk about BlackRock and some of these other asset managers having a huge impact on price because they buy a lot of Bitcoin in order to fund sort of their ETF. This would be probably even bigger than that. So pretty major statement there. And the other one I wanted to note is VanEck CEO, so a TradFi, traditional finance guy here.
ETF providers.
Yep, one of the ETF people, saying that he holds over a third of his portfolio in Bitcoin. So he's obviously a big believer as well.
There you go.
So yeah, pretty major outcomes. And
it's about as bullish as it gets from the naysayers in the past, right?
I don't think it gets any more bullish.
Yeah.
Also the fact that, like I said, Kamala Harris is also coming in support. So like both parties are, no matter what the outcome is, it's looking to be more on the positive side. But one thing I wanted to call out, and this won't be the first time we've called this out, but we look back at the previous bull markets. 2017 was driven by the retail market, right? There was a lot of naysayers, a lot of skeptics, particularly institutions and sort of like so-called experts in TradFi saying this is not real, but a lot of people in retail saw opportunity there, and so they capitalized. The next bull market in 2021 was likely driven by the institutions, right? We saw the likes of Tesla, we saw the likes of MicroStrategy buying up Bitcoin in order to put them in a stronger financial position. And then that obviously triggered a bull market where, the retail follows. And then this bull market, it's looking likely that it's going to be driven by governments.
Okay.
And so the US is obviously the hot one we're talking about at the moment, but, I don't think it'll be long before we start talking about other major governments in the world.
Yep. I like it.
Yep, absolutely.
And on that, let's jump into some top movers. What are we seeing, Ted?
Mate, probably the majority being red compared to last week. But there is a few greens, dropped in there. The main ones I'm seeing is probably the Solana ecosystem. So the likes of Jupiter, Pyth, BOEM, so Book of Meme. AIOZ is in there, so that's one of the AI sort of deep in projects that we've mentioned briefly. But look, I think the one to call out here, if you're happy to, Pav, is the Solana ecosystem. Yeah. I've got a news article that actually shows that Solana has overtaken Ethereum for the first time ever in fee revenue generated. So the way that works is obviously every time someone transfers over a network, i.e. being it Ethereum or Solana, whether you're just buying crypto, whether you're sending to another wallet, there's a fee for doing that, right? Typically. So Solana's overtaken means like there's more activity generally happening on that.
And a lot more because the fees are way less.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think the main reason for that is probably because of the, the meme coin frenzy that's happening on Solana, like the likes of Bonk and Whiff and, all those other ones are having their time in the spotlight. And so that's kind of driving this activity upwards. But look, I think there's a lot of projects within the Solana ecosystem that I just mentioned there that also act as sort of that Solana beta, meaning like they benefit as well.
Yeah, definitely. Like we've seen this in the past too. Like it's not just this is because it's Solana doing this. Like we saw the same thing when Ethereum started launching last cycle. We saw like things like Uniswap really start to take off, things like Aave. And we're seeing that right now just with Solana too, right? Like you got Jupiter there. You've got Jito, similar projects like for like. One's a DEX, one's more for staking and liquidity and borrowing, or Jito's not necessarily borrowing, but it's kind of like you need this supporting infrastructure around the core offering.
Well, it's the Solana DeFi ecosystem, and these are sort of the ones that are leading the way. So the ones that we called out were Jupiter, which is the Solana decentralized exchange, the biggest one on Solana. Pyth, which is an oracle, similar to how Chainlink operates on Ethereum. And then also Jito, which is, as you said, the staking and also liquid staking, which could probably be compared to Lido Ethereum.
Yep, correct.
So Jupiter's had a pretty major announcement recently. They've put forward a proposal to reduce the total supply of Jupe by 30%.
Oh, that's good for me.
Yes, well, because you got on the airdrop, didn't you?
The airdrops,
Yeah, you'd be a very happy man by now.
Yeah, it's getting better.
I can't confirm or not whether that is being approved by the the governance there in
Yeah.
Jupiter, but it's overall good for the tokenomics if that is approved, because obviously supply and demand, supply comes down. It's just overall good for the value to go up. And then Jito, so this year alone, the number of staking validators on Jito has increased from 50 to 550. So are you a maths guy, Pav? Do you know what the percentage is on that?
Nah, not too good, mate. Sorry.
That's all right. A lot.
Yep.
Multiple hundreds of percentages. So we'll go with that.
Yep.
And then you also likes the likes of big name companies such as Galaxy, Coinbase, and Binance are using Jito for staking. So obviously getting a lot of adoption there. They are the very clear winner in that space on the Solana network. So overall, Solana ecosystem looking very nice.
Yeah, lots to like there. And the only other things to call out there is we are seeing some of the more Ethereum betas too. So I think still there's a bit of tailwinds potentially running from the Ethereum ETF, and a lot of those regulatory sanctions against the Ethereum network being washed away. So we've got Aave and Maker, the like there, showing a bit of strength there too, which is good to see. Not really too much else to call out, to be honest. A little less meme coin centric than what we have seen in the past. Book a Meme is there up 14%.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, we did just see Bitcoin take a 5% hit. So right now you're seeing, what are the potential assets with the most strength after some weakness in Bitcoin. So everything else might be a good time to just assess what you're looking at right now. How shaky were the legs when you look at its performance? But I'm keen to see these next 2 weeks if we do start to see the markets stabilize.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do we continue to see as trends? And I think we can all bet it's probably going to be something Solana related.
Yeah. And just to touch on the meme coins, I know we talk about them a lot these days, but I saw a graphic recently that I don't have on me right now, but it showed like meme coins in the top 100 by market cap every year. And so obviously like early on, it was like cool. Dogecoin, then it was like Dogecoin, Shiba Inu. Then I think, 3 years ago, it was maybe like Dogecoin, Shiba Inu, Floki Inu, and then like every year there's more and more. And so this year I think we're seeing the most we've ever seen with like 7 or 8 in the top 10. Like we've seen MOG just enter the top 100. And so that just goes to show that meme coins are getting more attention than ever. We might have to bring that up for you next week or put it in the show notes.
I like it. But we've got some news to also jump onto. I think this is one that's been brewing for quite some time. Ted, do you want to take it away, mate?
Yeah, I mean, we've always talked about Alluvium, the crypto gaming, GameFi, blockchain gaming, whatever you want to call it. It's kind of like the first big game launch. AAA, because like other games have launched, but they've been just kind of basic shitty games to put it politely. But Alluvium, they've been in development for over 3 years. They're based down in Sydney, so local boys and girls. And they've finally launched, and they've launched on Epic Games. So I think Epic Games in total has about 180 million users, and so they're on the Epic Games store. I was trying to look at sort of like the user reaction to the game, and overall I think it's been pretty positive. Like people are saying it's actually a good game. Like it's quite addictive, and it's people are saying like I actually have been gaming all my life and this is a good game. I saw a few comments saying that.
That's good.
Few technical issues like some downtime and that sort of thing. It's
common.
It's not out of the ordinary, but hopefully they're able to resolve those. But overall, I think it's been pretty positive. I haven't been able to find any stats on active users, so I'm sure that will be coming out soon.
Yep.
But not too much traction in the token price as of yet. But you can only imagine, like as the game gets more adoption, and if it does, that's only going to reflect positively in the token's price, and also because it's the in-game currency that people use as well.
It's cool. And I know we've spoke about it too. Like I think a lot of gaming, like you said, requires active users. And for people to become active users, I think we need to see things like Ethereum start to get to all-time highs or break all-time highs. I think when that happens, we might start to see gaming start to really get a bit of traction. Yeah, I'm pretty excited for we're probably getting to the pointy end now.
You said you were going to give Alluvium a crack tonight.
Yeah, I'll give it a go if I have time. Yeah, right. I think we're keen.
You got to give us your feedback next week.
Let's do it.
Nice.
Let's do it. In other news, we also have something meme coin related because you just have to. So the original Doge owner has gone out and purchased a new pet and named the little pup Nero. And this went absolutely bonkers, and bonkers for a lot of different reasons. Like obviously from a meme coin narrative perspective, if you're trying to find value, this is maybe, fundamentally you think it's going to go right, and did not disappoint. But we did also see some of the dangers around playing around with meme coins on chain. I think there was like at least 10 to 20 impersonating contracts.
Okay.
Competing to be the official Nero.
So is the official one released by the owner of this dog?
Haven't looked into the specifics, but obviously someone's commissioned it to be made, and there would be some dev link to it. But I mean, this is just a single screenshot of, within minutes there was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 across different chains, across different, all with the same ticker.
I'd say the owner of that knew what she was doing.
Hopefully, but again, like when you see this sort of activity, like everyone trying to sort of jump on the coattails of it all, it kind of shows you there's definitely interest if there's this many impersonators. So again, I'd be looking for similar patterns that we did see with other previous Solana meme coins. So do we start to see accumulation and listings on major exchanges? Because once we see that, we'll see it maybe follow the same footsteps as things like Swyftx, Bonk.
Yep.
Popcat as well, still lagging as well, but in terms of official exchange listings. But this is very, very early days, still highly speculatory.
Of it.
But just a pretty cool story. Again, people can't get enough of the whole Doge owner, I guess, having a new dog. Here we go. This is the world we live in, mate.
Oh, God.
Speaking of worlds we live in.
What has come of this podcast?
Oh, mate. It's only going to get worse over time.
Yeah, good.
Well, I'll say worse. It could get better.
Yeah, depending on how you look at it.
We'll see. Glass half full, right? But let's finish it up with some tipping. I think, Ted, you have to hand it over this week, mate.
Yeah. Look, I had it for a while, 3 weeks in total. So, look, it was about time that you...
It's about time I must have stepped up.
Gold. But yeah, tell me about what you did this week.
So I took a pretty defensive strategy. I just thought we were getting towards the top end of this range. We might start to see some sort of pullback, and I got it the day off the podcast.
Yeah.
So I went Bitcoin, ETH, and USDT in equal portions. And I think I ended up at 9,700 or 9,800, something like that. And... well, yeah, let's do you this week, and then we'll go into our next week.
Okay, so yeah, I did BTC, Pepe, and Dog. It's a runes project on Bitcoin. Ended up at about 9,400. I was kind of speculating that there would be more action out of the Nashville conference, but not to be mine this week. But this coming week, I've gone for the Solana ecosystem approach, just based on like what we've seen today.
Very good.
The fact that Jupiter and Jito are in the top movers, and then Solana also overtaking ETH in revenue.
Yep.
So I've gone for Sol and Jupiter, and then as just sort of a more risk-adverse play, gone with BTC for my third one. So an even split of those three.
Very nice. This week for myself, I've just looked at some of the assets we're seeing strengthen, especially with a sell-off, and I kind of want to buy into strength. So I'm looking at AOIZ, which we just saw. It has run up quite a bit, so a bit of danger there potentially, but we can only buy these things a week out, so we just have to take a guess and see where things go. So the reason for that one. Aave, for the same reason, we're seeing a bit of strength on that one. Ethereum ecosystem as well. And then MOG. It's, I think, year to date, one of the best performing meme coins, and it's been a little bit quiet in the last couple of days and weeks. So maybe expecting that could have some fun in the sun as well.
Like it.
So again, this all comes down to Bitcoin turning around and settling down where it currently is. If we start to see that fall, move closer to 64,000. Not going to have a great time with my selections. I'll be heading over the keys already, but look, gonna have a crack. This is all for fun.
So do you actually own any of these three, like in your personal wallet?
No, neither of them. Neither.
Well, I own all three, so I'm just showing.
Really, you've got MOG as well?
No, in mine.
Oh, in yours.
So
okay.
Sol, Jupe, and BTC. So I'm showing conviction there. You seem to be a little bit shaky.
No, this is a tipping comp, mate.
I know.
Let's take what you can get.
I'm just trying to poke holes in your strategy here.
That's fine. You can poke away.
It's all mind games.
It really is.
Yeah.
It really is.
That's it.
Riveting.
Anyway, riveting stuff. We might call it a day there.
Let's do it.
Alrighty, thank you so much, guys. We'll catch you next week. Be sure to catch us on YouTube and Instagram and the likes of that. And then, we'll keep you posted.
Thanks, guys. Catch you next time.